before have we seen so much death along the west coast of North America. Massive numbers of sea stars, bluefin tuna, sardines, anchovies, herring, oysters, salmon, marine mammals, and marine birds are dying, and experts are puzzled. We are being told that we could even see local extinctions of some of these sea creatures. So, are all these deaths related? If so, what in the world could be causing this to happen? What has changed so dramatically that it would cause massive numbers of sea creatures to die along the west coast? Next, I will give you 15 examples of this phenomenon. Most scientists do not believe that these incidents are related, but when you put them together, it paints quite a disturbing picture. Number 1. A mystery plague is turning sea stars all along the west coast of the United States and Canada into piles of goo. Sea stars, commonly referred to as starfish, have been dying off in alarming numbers along the west coast, from Baja, Mexico to Alaska. According to reports from the Seattle Aquarium, some parts of Puget Sound and the San Juan Islands have seen population declines up to 80%. On the Oregon coast, according to Coast Watch volunteer coordinator Fawn Custer, quote, "Last December we had less than 1% of sea star wasting. By May 1st, more than 5% of sea stars were affected. Now, I would say, in some areas it's up to 90%, unquote. A marine epidemiologist at Cornell University says that it's the largest mortality event for the marine diseases we've seen. Number 2. The population of bluefish tuna in the Pacific Ocean has declined by 95%. Mexico has already banned fishing for bluefin tuna for the rest of the year, and the U.S. government is considering doing the same. Number 3. Sardine, anchovies, and herring populations have dropped dramatically along the west coast in recent years. Pacific sardine populations have shown an alarming decline in recent years, and some evidence suggests anchovies and herring populations may be dropping as well. Number 4. Record numbers of distressed sea lions have washed ashore in California for the second year in a row. One news reporter described these distressed sea lions as malnourished and dehydrated, too weak to find food on their own. Number 5. Marine birds are disappearing in the Pacific Northwest. From white-winged scooters to surf scooters to long-tailed ducks, murres, loons, and seagulls, the number of everyday marine birds have plummeted dramatically in recent decades. Scooters are down more than 75% from what they were in the late 1970s. Murres have dropped even more. Western grabs have mostly vanished, falling from several 100,000 birds to about 20,000. Number 6. Those who work in the seafood industry on the west coast are noticing some very unusual mutations. For example, a red king crab that was recently caught in Alaska was colored bright blue. Number 7. Pelicans along the California coastline are refusing to mate. This is being blamed on lack of fish for the pelicans to eat. As a result, we are seeing less than 1% of the usual number of baby pelicans. Number 8. The oyster population in the Pacific is falling so fast that it is being called the Great American Oyster Collapse. Number 9. The population of sockeye salmon along the west coast of Alaska is at a historic low. Number 10. Something is causing herring off the coast of British Columbia to bleed from their gills, bellies, and eyeballs. Number 11. Scientists have discovered very high levels of cesium-137 in plankton living in the waters of the Pacific Ocean between Hawaii and the west coast. Number 12. Back in May, more than 6 tons of anchovies died in the Marina del Rey over a single weekend. Number 13. Just a few days ago, thousands of fish were found dead on Capitola Beach. Authorities are trying to figure out what caused this. Number 14.
By the mystery tonight, how and why 2 tons of fish ended up on a Watsonville beach. It's happening in Manresa State Beach, just south of Santa Cruz, and it has beachgoers scratching their heads. We sent NBC barrier Scott Budman to the beach to investigate. Scott, get any answers?
You know, we got some answers, but I'll tell you, Jessica, this is still a mystery and is likely to be a mystery for a couple of days. I want to show you some of what washed up with the tide. Thousands and thousands of white croakers washing up here this morning on Manresa Beach in Watsonville. Now, the fish have been here all day. They're not all that close to where people tend to sit and play on the beach, but many who took a few minutes to walk their dogs or go exploring found themselves walking among a stream of dead fish, and so far, there's no explanation why.
Number 15. According to a study conducted by the researchers at Oregon State University, radiation levels in tuna caught off the coast of Oregon approximately tripled in the aftermath of the Fukushima nuclear disaster. Could it be possible that at least some of these deaths are related to what's been happening at Fukushima? We do not know that fish caught off the shore of Fukushima have been tested to have radioactive cesium levels that is up to 124 times above the level that is considered to be safe. And we also know that a study conducted at the University of South Wales concluded that the main radioactive plume of water from Fukushima would reach our shores at some point during 2014. It's so unreasonable to think that the greatest nuclear disaster in human history could have something to do with the deaths of all these sea creatures. Just consider that one very experienced Australian boat captain discovered when he crossed the Pacific last year. According to him, it felt as though the ocean itself was dead, he said. The next leg of the long voyage was from Osaka to San Francisco, and for most of the trip, the desolation was tinged with nauseous horror and a degree of fear. Quote, "After we left Japan, it felt as if the ocean itself was dead," unquote. McFadden said, quote, "We hardly saw any living things. We saw one whale, sort of helplessly rolling on the surface, with what looked like a big tumor on its head. It was pretty sickening." Quote, "I've done lots of miles in the ocean in my life, and I'm used to seeing turtles, dolphins, sharks, and big flurries of feeding birds. But this time, for 3,000 nautical miles, there was nothing alive to be seen," unquote. In place of the missing life was garbage in astounding volumes. Quote, "Part of it was the aftermath of the tsunami that hit Japan a couple years ago. The wave came over in the land, picked up an unbelievable load of stuff, and carried it out to sea. And it is still out there everywhere you look," unquote. What do you think? Is Fukushima to blame here? Or do you think that something else is causing massive numbers of sea creatures to die? Please feel free to share what you think and post comments below. This has been Jasmine reporting for QTV.